Good evening. In this week's discussion board, I looked at three particular articles that all deal with a different aspect of the American Civil War. The first of these articles, which is written by Michael Rain, discusses the assassination of a man by the name of James Bridgewater in Lincoln County, Kentucky. This assassination took place in 1867. And the individuals that were involved in the killing of Mr. Bridgewater were individuals that could definitely be described as being pro-Confederate or pro-South. They believed that Mr. Bridgewater, who was a Unionist, was entirely too pro-Union, and that he and the other Union officials were interfering in the lives of the people of the Commonwealth, and something needed to be done about that. And this really, in a lot of ways, is a microcosm of what happened all across the state, because many people in Kentucky really did not like federal intervention in the state. And this is even if they were pro-North during the Civil War. For example, one of the things that the federal government instituted in Kentucky was the Freedmen's Bureau, which was designed to help educate former slaves. This was all across the former Confederacy, and many Kentuckians were very angry at the fact that even though Kentucky never officially joined the Confederacy, we were under the rules of the Freedmen's Bureau, along with a lot of other federal oversight and overreach, as many of the accounts, such as this one, outlines, and it is going to lead to a lot of violence. It's going to lead to a lot of death in terms of people being assassinated, homes being robbed, bank robberies, and things of that nature. The second article is written by N.M. Tumick, which puts a emphasis or focuses on Josie Underwood's diary. Now, Josie Underwood is a very interesting individual. She belonged to a family that lived in Bowling Green. Her father was a planner, a lawyer, amongst numerous other things, and her family actually owned slaves, but they were still very pro-Union during the Civil War. And during this, which is really unusual or really kind of strange, because Bowling Green is the quote-unquote unofficial Confederate capital of Kentucky as of November of 1861. But in this particular analysis of her diary, the author looks at the scarcity of resources such as food that happened in the Bowling Green area during the war. It was extremely common for soldiers, Union or Confederate, to come in and to literally take food, to take supplies, horses, and things of that nature from any family or anyone that actually had them, that owned anything in terms of a large amount. This was something that she spoke about regularly in terms of the soldiers coming in. There was a battle or a competition, as I referred to it, for food. And the interesting thing is that her family is actually going to move to Scotland temporarily in 1863, which is going to spare her accounts of the really scarce state of food in Kentucky in 1863 and 64, as the raiders such as John Hunt Morgan and others come in and are going to pillage and plunder and burn courthouses and a variety of others. A group of the Shakers settled in South Union, which is just about 15 miles southwest of Bowling Green. They were completely obliterated by soldiers from both sides, the North and the South, and also the raiders. And again, Josie Underwood's diary provides some records of the type of events that occurred in terms of the family having to hand over food and how difficult it was for the family to be able to eat the proper meals the way they were used to. The last article is written by Christopher Waltrip, and it looks at the voting habits of the people of Caldwell County. Caldwell County was a mostly agricultural county. They grew a lot of tobacco, which means that they were not really a a hotbed for a lot of slaves in terms of massive plantations. But there were a lot of slave owners that lived in Caldwell County, with the majority of them owning under 4 slaves. And primarily the analysis here is kind of starting in and around 1840, going all the way through the election of 1868, looking at the voting habits of the two political parties and the two largest political parties in Caldwell County, the Whigs and the Democrats. And what Waltrip actually discovers is as the war comes on, more and more Whigs start voting pro-Democrat. And the interesting thing about it is before the Civil War, the number of Whigs and the number of Democrats that owned slaves was about 50-50, and they still predominantly voted along party lines. But that greatly changed with the coming of the Civil War in 1864 and in 1868, where overall the county largely became very pro-Democrat in response to the Civil War itself, and also the aftermath of the war. It is kind of interesting that the main source that is used here is the voting rolls, and Waltrip actually identifies one of the problems with the study being the fact that there's no analysis given to anyone who did not vote in those particular elections, which I thought to be very fascinating and interesting. Everybody have a good day.